So what we're going to talk about today is advanced wholesaling techniques and what the pros knows. That's a joke, by the way. I know it's improper grammar, but it rhymed. So let's go ahead and get right into this. First, before we really begin, we need to talk about what wholesaling is and what it is not. Okay, so we can all be on the same page and everybody can understand exactly what we're talking about. Wholesaling, by definition, is an investor to investor sale, meaning it's a double close, okay? It is not a contract assignment. Now, what happens, unfortunately, as you guys get into this stuff, is that if you guys have any questions, by the way, go ahead and start loading them up in the question box or on Facebook Live in the feed so I can get them answered, okay? But wholesaling is not contract assignments. Now, part of the problem is that you guys have heard me say, some of you guys have heard me say this time and time again. Part of the problem is that for some unknown reason, somebody who didn't know what they were doing or what they were talking about coined the term wholesaling and started using it interchangeably with contract assignments in some course. And so, unfortunately, then by default, everybody else, it seems, that's a Facebook real estate investor also started using the same exact terminology, okay? But it's wrong. It's not correct. And you need to understand the difference because there's a lot of differences in between the two, all right? So what are the differences in between wholesaling, actual wholesaling, where you're going to buy and close on a property and sell it to another investor, okay? If you sell it to an end buyer, that's not wholesaling, that's retailing. So understand, why do I get so hung up on the terminology? Because it matters, okay? People say, oh, it doesn't matter if I call contract assignments wholesaling. Well, first and foremost, if you're doing that, I already know you don't know what you're talking about, okay? So that's key indicator number one. Key indicator number two is that if you think that it doesn't make a difference, let me tell you who it does make a difference to. And these are two people that you don't want to tangle with or get into a semantics argument with about terminology, and that is the judge when you get dragged into court and the IRS, okay? Because the IRS books and taxes the income completely differently on a wholesale deal than they do on a contract assignment, okay? So when we take a look at the differences in wholesaling and contract assignments, the process is completely different, okay? The contracts are completely different. Well, there's some intermingling there because you're going to have a purchase and sale agreement on both of them, obviously. And the way the income is taxed is completely different, all right? So understand what we're talking about. On a wholesale deal, you're going to submit a purchase and sale agreement. You're going to submit your deal to title. You're going to clear title, and you're going to close, okay? And you're going to close, you're going to what's called double close. You close, and then your buyer is going to close right behind you, okay? A to B, B to C. That is a wholesale deal. That's the definition of wholesaling. If it's an investor that you're selling to. All right, on a contract assignment deal, you're going to generate the purchase and sale agreement, and then the assignment agreement, and you're then going to try to assign that contract to someone else. Could be an investor, it could be an end user, could be either one, could be a business, could be anything. But that's where the difference is, when you take a look at some of this stuff. I don't know why they teach this stuff this way, and you may not think it makes a difference, but like I said, when you get dragged into court or you're dealing with the IRS, it absolutely makes a difference. Okay, so the only commonality between the two, other than, as discussed, the purchase and sale agreement, which is going to be largely identical, are the lead generation methods. So the standard lead generation methods for a wholesale deal or a contract assignment is going to be bandit signs, yellow letters, postcards, probate lists, pre-foreclosure lists, you name it. Okay, it's all the same stuff. Basically, there really is no difference in the generation methods on how these deals are being generated. But you do need to understand the difference in the two, especially when you're talking to professional investors, because professional investors do not call contract assignments wholesaling. All right, but for the sake of this webinar, I'm going to cover both, even though they're not both technically wholesaling, because most of you think that they are. I'm going to go ahead and cover both of them so you guys will understand. Now, let's get into what the pros knows but aren't telling you, okay? I think that's why you guys are here. Number one, wholesaling is not, I repeat, absolutely not, let me repeat that one more time, not the best way to get started in real estate investing. Not by a long shot, my friends, and there are a great many reasons why. Okay, so here's why. Number one, it's very capital intensive. What I mean by that is the marketing, because you're going to have to go out and buy, have printed bandit signs, yellow letters, postcards, whatever. You're going to have mailing expense. You're going to have sign placement expense, and these are all things that, number one, they cost money, which when people are typically getting started in real estate investing, they don't normally have a whole lot of for marketing expense. And number two, they're time intensive, okay? Because you have to wait on the marketing to be printed, whatever that is. If it's the bandit signs, you got to wait for them to be printed and shipped, or go pick them up, and then they got to be placed, okay? So you're talking about, instead of being in a scenario where you can work on a deal today, close a deal today, and get paid today, that is not what wholesaling enables you to do, okay? So understand that, because you're going to have to go through these processes. You got to have printing. How long is that going to take? Postage or sign placement. How long is that going to take? And all that does is push you further and further away from payday. Okay. If all that wasn't enough, then you get to deal with the property inspections. You got to learn how to accurately price out repair cost. Okay. You need to know what's called the MAO formula, maximum allowable offer, right? You got to find the buyers / assignees if you're doing the contract assignment. You got to clear titles, and then you have to wait on closings. Okay, all of these things take time. All of these things are kicking that can down the road for you to get paid. And typically, when you're first starting off in any type of business, you want to make money quick, right? I mean, I know I do. I want to make money fast. I don't want to have all these hurdles in the way to get paid. Okay. In addition to that, wholesaling, I mean, it's just not fun, okay? You're dealing with people that are in duress. We'll cover this in detail a little bit longer, but, if you guys are out there doing this stuff, you're basically trying to get somebody to sell you the property for, 60% of fair market value or after repair value. And who's going to do that? Who in their right mind is going to do that? Only person that's going to do that is somebody in duress, okay? What you guys call, quote unquote, motivated sellers. Well, again, I hate that term because all sellers are motivated. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the property for sale. The key is you just haven't found the solution to their problem. And so you think in many cases that they're not motivated, but they are motivated. You just have to solve the problem, right? And then you're dealing with other investors looking to negotiate the price down. So when you first get started out, I mean, you're getting beat up left and right. It's like going head to head with Mike Tyson in the ring, and you're not even an amateur boxer yet. It's getting pummeled, right? Because you're gonna have to deal with all this expense, all this time wasting, right? Then you're dealing with trying to figure out how to do the inspections, to learn the process of how to cost out the repair cost. And then you got to beat some poor sucker up on the purchase price because he's in some kind of scenario of duress. None of that's fun. And then if you're lucky enough to get the property under contract, then you get to deal with some investor on the flip side, whether you're doing an assignment or you're going to double close, who's also going to be trying to beat you up on the price. Okay, so there's a lot of conflict here, a lot of things that push you further and further away from making money, okay? And also a lot of things here that go against the grain of you making a lot of money and making it easily when you first get started out, okay? Number two, pros: do not build a buyer's list the way they teach you to do it, all right? And if you go through these courses, maybe if you guys have any comments or whatever it is, let me know what you've seen that's out there. But generally speaking, what I have seen is, the whole, just create a big spreadsheet of people that say they're cash buyers, right? And they want you to create this big old list so that you can then email the list anytime you get what you think is a deal. And my friends, that is not how you do it if you want to be successful, okay? It just isn't. It's not what I do. It's not what I would advise you do. It's what I call the throw the spaghetti against the wall approach, or the machine gun approach. You're going to spray a bunch of bullets and hopefully something hits something, as opposed to being a sniper and doing one shot, one kill and getting paid, okay? So that's not how you build the buyer's list, all right? Here's what the pros do, okay? This is what I do. If I were to go out there and engage in a full-time wholesaling business opportunity, career, whatever, the very first thing that I would do before spending dime one on marketing or advertising would be to get on the phone and pre-qualify each buyer, okay, or assignee, so that you can understand their ability, the type of monthly volume they can handle. In other words, how many deals can you send to them if you find what they're looking for, what their appetite is, and then any deal killers, okay? And the purpose of this is so you know what you're hunting, okay? And what happens most of the time with these stupid courses that are out there is it's all this random nonsense that they have you do, all this busy work that doesn't get you on the phone with sellers, number one, doesn't get you on the phone with buyers, number one. It's all this busy work to kick the can down the road and push it further off to make you feel like you're actually doing something. And the most important thing that you can do is figure out where your money's coming from, okay? You shouldn't be contracting on a property not knowing where your money's coming from. You guys understand that? Hopefully that makes sense to you, okay? The very first thing that you should do, for those of you, if you have, and probably a bunch of you on here do if you've been doing wholesaling, if you have what you think is a buyer's list, a spreadsheet or a Podio or whatever it's in, my advice to you would be to go down that list and contact each and every person and take them through a pre-qualification process, okay, asking the right questions so you can determine whether or not this person is a good fit, if they're realistic for what you're wanting to do, if the market that you're in is going to support what they're looking for before you waste money on marketing and advertising. And then you get, your stable of buyers or your stable of assignees that you know exactly what they want. So that way, when that deal comes across your desk, boom, you got to pull the trigger, okay? Because it's payday. That's how you do it. It's not, I'm going to go on Facebook and put a post out and, hey, cash buyers, drop your email, okay? I mean, you can do that to generate them, but if you think then just sending them an email, which most of the time doesn't contain all the information that a buyer or an assignee needs to properly evaluate a deal, that's not how you do it, okay? So what you want to do is, if you're going to do that and you want to get all the names of all the cash buyers and all that stuff, then, get them on the phone and go through this process. So that way, number one, you've got a relationship. Number two, you know exactly what you're looking for, right? And number three, when that thing comes across your desk, boom, it's hammer time. That's how you do it. It's not this daisy chain nonsense. You're all blasting stuff to 4,000 people on a buyer's list, and really none of them are really buyers, or two of them are really buyers, and maybe they missed your email, and you don't have communication or relationship with any of them. If you're trying to do this as an actual business for your full-time income, this is what you need to do, okay? And I would, once you get off this webinar, if you haven't done that, that's the very first thing I would do. I wouldn't even waste time, okay? I mean, I would go out there and find that, number one. All right. Number three. Pros go buyer first, not property first. We kind of sort of just covered that, but I learned this myself long ago, that I could contract on 100 houses and sell none, or I could go buyer first, okay, find the buyer, and then go contract on exactly what they wanted and contract on one house and get paid, all right? Much better scenario than going property first and then getting in these situations where you've got to put in all of these nonsensical clauses so that what they call escape clauses or weasel clauses, because you don't have a place, an outlet, an exit strategy. You have no buyer, you have no assignee for that particular property. All you're doing is wasting your money and your time and the seller's time, and it's not a good place to be, all right? So go buyer first, save yourself a bunch of time and money and aggravation, find out what they're looking for, and then find it, okay? Very simple. Very simple concept. But see, it's the reverse of what these guys are teaching you and what to do, right? Because what they want to do basically is they want to baffle you with bullshit and keep you busy on busy work activities to make you feel like you're doing something, to make you feel like you're getting some sort of value so you don't ask for a refund of whatever course you bought. And that's not what you want to do. You need to be on the phone with buyers day one, okay? And then identifying what type of animal we're hunting here, to then go out there into the marketplace and locate that animal, all right? Very simple. Number four, most of you guys are not going to like this one, but it is a numbers game. Wholesaling is absolutely a numbers game. And what does that mean in English? What does that mean? That means that you're going to have to do lots of mailers and signs, etc., okay? And it has to be consistent. And eventually you'll get down to a point where you'll know and you'll understand exactly what your numbers are. In other words, X number of signs out, X yields, Y number of calls in, And of those Y number of calls that are in, Z of those are qualified for what we're looking to do. And you'll eventually be able to just turn it into an automated machine if you treat it like a professional, like a business, okay? But if you're not, you're just throwing a bunch of stuff against the wall. That's why, a lot of these people struggle, okay? The other thing is you're trying to get the property at 60% of fair market value or after repair value, and you have to make a lot of offers, okay? The average seller is in duress, and your offer isn't normally going to seem like a solution to their problem. Because why? Because they know the property is worth more. So why are they going to take a haircut so that you can make money? All right. It is a numbers game. Lots and lots and lots of offers. And oh, by the way, here's the bad news. There's 400 other people in the same city that you're in that bought the same course is doing the exact same thing that you're doing. And the same guy is getting the exact same marketing over and over and over again from the same people. There's really no differentiation. Now all it is for them, it's a numbers game for them. Who's going to pay me the most? That's it. Okay, because you're not really solving their problem. All right. Number 5, pros keep the hopper full. What does that mean? Okay. That means that you're going to keep marketing moving forward, okay, day in, day out, as well as your offers, because when we take a look at this from a logistics situation, it's marketing out, leads in, offers out, deals closed. Very simple process, but it has to be consistent. In other words, if you stop marketing, just like any business, the business is going to die. And unfortunately, what most people do is they lack consistent marketing. And so they have roller coaster income, up, down, up, down, up, down, and they can never maintain any type of consistency because they're not handling it like a professional business. Okay. What professionals do, pros, they treat it like a full-time business and they prospect and they market accordingly, which means every single day, just like McDonald's does. Okay. Just like Apple does, just like all of them do. Every single day, day in, day out. That's how you run a business from a marketing perspective. But most people out there that are doing real estate investing are not doing that. Okay. So you need to understand that. Number 6, the other thing these guys teaching these courses don't want you to know is, yes, it's not just the guys teaching you the courses, it's also the people that you're doing the assignments to. You can double close with none of your own cash. Okay. Yes, you can. I don't mean transactional funding. I don't mean any of that stuff. There's one of the podcast episodes where we were on there with, I think it was Old Republic title. I think it was Old Republic. And I got all the way through to the head underwriter for the title company because I had been told, no, you can't do that. No, that's illegal. No, 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 by the title company. And I finally got the underwriter on the phone and explained that what we wanted to do is what's called a dry closing. Okay, it's a double close with a dry closing. In other words, the buyer, the end buyer, their funds are going to fund the purchase transaction, the A to B transaction, where I'm buying the property from the seller and then I'm selling to the other investor. Well, I don't have any funds in the deal, and I don't have to have any funds in the deal, but I do have to disclose exactly what it is that we're doing, okay? So you can double close with none of your own cash. Now, you can also do the transactional funding if you want to do that as well. But a lot of you out there are thinking that you can't really step up into the game of, being an actual investor, not a quote-unquote wholesaler, by closing on properties because you don't have the cash or credit. The good news is you don't need it, all right? Thing is, that's not what they teach you guys, okay? And the reason why they don't teach it to you is because it requires education, it requires work, okay? The guys that are buying these things from you or buying the contracts from you, they can get your deal cheaper if you assign it. And the worst part, or the best part for them really, is they can get you to do all of the work and wait to get paid, which is idiotic for a reason I'll show you here in just a minute, okay? So, you don't wait to get paid on a contract assignment. And why is that? Because pros get paid at the time of the assignment, not some future closing that may or may not happen. But that is not what they're teaching you to do. This is how contract assignments actually function in the real world of real estate investing, not the guru course seller world, but the actual real world. And the reason why is because once you have executed the assignment agreement, you have right then assigned all right, title, and interest in the contract and or the property. Okay, you're done. That's it. Over. You have no interest left at that point. All right. It is not your job on a contract assignment to clear title, but that is not what they tell you, right? There's a reason they don't tell you that. Because why? Because you've already assigned everything. You've already assigned all interest over. Why are you playing title jockey? What are you clearing title for? Okay. The seller has already agreed to provide clear and marketable title in the purchase and sale agreement. If you guys haven't ever read the actual purchase and sale agreement, you better go back and read that clause because they've already agreed to do that. Okay. What professionals do, okay, if I'm going to clear title and I'm going to wait to get paid on the closing, I'm going to do all that and sell, not assign. I'm going to double close for a higher amount. Okay, I just showed you how to do that without any of your own cash. So that way, for those of you that are doing wholesaling, you now have another tool in your tool belt, another weapon in your arsenal to be able to get a higher amount if you're going to continue going down the path of having to clear titles and wait for a closing. Okay, because that's not how professionals do it on a contract assignment. Every contract I've ever assigned, I've gotten paid right then. Boom. As soon as that ink hit the paper, here's my money right then. And you can do the exact same thing. Now, one of the arguments that people like to come up with, and we've covered this before, is that, but some people have like this ethical moral dilemma of, well, what if the title ends up not coming back clear and they can't close? Well, guess what, boys and girls? It's time to pull up your big boy pants. Because this is real estate investing, it's not real estate insurance. The seller has already contractually agreed to clear the title. Okay, it's not your job, not your focus, not your responsibility. Nowhere did you agree to do that. Right? Sellers already agreed to do that. And so what the buyers are doing, or the people, the assignees are doing, is they're asking you to, number one, do the work and to eliminate their risk, because they want this to be real estate insurance, not real estate investing. Okay, and that's not the way it plays out and functions in the real world. Right? Now, you may have been sold and told that on a contract assignment you have to clear title and wait to get paid, but that is not how it's done. Now, do people do that? Absolutely, because why? They don't know any better. Right? It's not how I do it. If I'm going to sign a contract, no, I'm getting paid right now. Now, if you want to go through the argument of, okay, well, if you do it that way, then no assignee is ever going to do a deal because they don't know that they have the ability to get clear title and all that stuff. Well, here's the argument. See, there's a remedy for everything under law. So what they're trying to do with you, okay, this is how you guys get abused when you're clearing title and waiting to get paid. What they're trying to do is they're wanting you to make it so that they don't have to litigate, okay? Because once you've assigned that contract, sellers already agreed to provide clear and marketable title, okay? Then their recourse, their remedy, if there's a problem where they cannot close, is to sue the seller for breach of contract and specific performance. That's how it works in reality. But they're not going to tell you that. They don't want to do that. They're asking you to take all of that risk. Remember, this is investing, not insurance. They want you to take that risk off of them. So if you're going to do wholesale deals, okay, the way to do it, let me rephrase that. If you're going to do the wholesale contract assignment deals, the way to do it is, number one, pre-qualify your buyer so you know exactly what you're looking for and that you already have a deal sold once you get it under contract. As soon as your ink hits the paper on the purchase and sale agreement, order the title. Okay, don't wait. Order the title immediately. And you can go ahead and start clearing the title from day one. Okay, what does it take? 48 hours, 72 hours to get title back? You can go ahead and do that so that by the time that you're ready to present that package to the assignee, you've already cleared title and you have the valid executed contract. And the only thing that's waiting now is for them to show up at closing, and that's it. You don't need to wait for that. Okay? You don't need to wait for that to get paid your assignment fee, because once the title is cleared, their risk is what? What's their reason for not paying you right then once the title's cleared up front? Why do you need to wait for a closing? If anybody can answer that for me, I'd love to hear it, because there's not any logical answer that I'm aware of for that. I understand somebody wants to clear title, and that could certainly grease the wheels and make things smoother and that whole thing. But it's not your responsibility, number one. And number two, if you've cleared the title when you present the thing in the assignment, why can't you get paid right then? What would be the reason for that? Anybody got an answer? I'm doubtful, but here, let me see if I can go over here and look real quick. Anybody? All right, what's he saying? All right, so it says, Okay, still says wholesaling to confuse people. Yeah. Cindy says the gurus choose not to elaborate on all aspects of deals. Of course not. Okay. Well, I don't know what you're saying exactly, too, but thank you. So Cindy says the investor on the other side of the deal always finds issues with the property. This causes the investor or person who originally gets the property under contract to get less money, plus look like the bad guy in the end. Yeah, of course, it's a game. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. All right. So what if the property is one that the owners are deceased? How would the executor of the estate know if the deceased property owner owed money to Medicare for past medical expenses? Report usually takes 7 to 14 days to come back. Title companies, how could one overcome that hurdle? I think it's called the MERP form. I do not have the answer for you on that one. Okay, I don't know of any way to accelerate the federal government, so good luck with that. But again, as we get into more some of the stuff, I want to hopefully help craft your business so that you guys are making money a lot easier than what you've been taught to do, okay? Incorrectly taught to do. And taught isn't even really the right word. What you've been told to do that's not correct, but nonetheless. All right. Number 8, here's what the pros knows. Wholesalers lose out on a ton of deals. And you want to know why? Because they go by the stupid moniker of wholesaler, right? And what they're trying to do is force every opportunity into the exact same deal structure, okay? What I call square peg, meet round hole, or one trick pony. No other way to do a deal. You learn how to wholesale or learn how to do contract assignments. And so now every deal must fall into that specific deal structure type, okay? And that is an absolute mistake. You don't want to be a wholesaler. You want to be a real estate investor, not a wholesaler, okay? There's no such thing as a wholesaler in real estate investing. You want to be a full spectrum real estate investor, okay? Not a one trick pony wholesaler. And so what does that mean? What that means is you need to be able to analyze a deal and determine the proper deal structure. So let me give you an example of a call we just did this morning where it was the JVP actually went after the deal as a wholesale deal, okay, trying to get it for the 60%. And the property's owned free and clear. It's property in Brandon, Florida. And they balked. Of course they balked. Okay. No, the guy's living in the house. He's not in duress. It's owned free and clear, but he wants out. The issue is obviously there's some deferred maintenance that needs to happen, right? Some updating because the house hasn't been updated in probably 2 decades. And so they balked at the wholesale price. So what do? You just, put your tail between your legs and run away? No, this is where you have to have the ability to come right back, which we did. And in one phone call, we're able to get to an agreement on a deal structure for owner financing, okay? But most wholesalers, quote unquote wholesalers, contract assignors, they don't think to do those types of things because that's not what they're taught. They're taught, oh, you need it 60%. If you can't get it, next, move on to the next deal, right? Well, you spend money on marketing, you spend money on advertising, the deals come in, you got to know, you got to have some options here, okay? And you need to be able to analyze the deal to understand how best to structure the transaction in the event that one deal structure doesn't work. It's called the alternative choice close for those of you who understand sales closing. The alternative choice. Would you rather have, manual or automatic? Okay, it's you want this. You want 60% of fair market value in cash in 10 days or less. No, okay, or you want a full price deal, but you're going to carry the paper on an owner finance deal. I can pay you full price, but you're going to hold the note. Okay, make sense? So I don't really I'm not married to a deal structure. I don't care one way or the other. What I'm married to is making money and getting the deal done. Okay, getting a deal done, a win-win deal done. And so how we structure it, as long as we're making money, is immaterial to me. And it has to be that way. You have to be ambivalent when it comes to deal structures, okay? Number 9, what they don't want you to know, it's not necessary to falsely advertise, to bait and switch, to commit mail fraud, or commit fraud in the inducement. What am I talking about? What they teach is all kinds of stuff with, what do they call them? Ghost ads, right? With all this other crazy nonsense with attracting buyers for properties that you don't have. Yeah, it's called bait and switch. It's also called false advertising. Don't do that, right? You don't have to commit mail fraud where you're out there and you are advertising, holding yourself out to the public, right? And doing it via mail, which is a federal offense, by the way, that you are something that you're not, or that your intent is something that it isn't. When you say, I buy houses cash, but you don't, and you have no ability to, that's called fraud, all right? Don't do that, all right? And when we talk about fraud and the inducement, when you go out there with with a seller, and you're talking to them, and you hold yourself out as the buyer of the property, and they don't know what you're doing. They don't know that your intent is to assign that contract. Okay, it's called fraud and the inducement. And what you end up doing with that and the stupid weasel clauses they put in there is putting yourself in a position of jeopardy because you lied. I mean, there's no other way to say it. You lied. And then you put in these clauses to give you an escape clause so that when you can't assign it, you have some BS story that you can tell the seller about, your fake third party partner inspector didn't like the property or whatever it is. And it's all nonsense, okay? And most of the time, they're showing you all this stuff about, just put the earnest money deposit will be placed at title company, 10 days after title's pulled and all this stuff. And the sole purpose there is so that you don't have to come up with earnest money. All of this stuff it's not necessary, okay? But here's the catch. You got to get your skills up, okay? Skills to pay the bills. So you can effectively handle conversation with the seller with total transparency. And they will appreciate you if you do that because you're not wasting their time. It's a very simple conversation. Mr. Seller, I'm a real estate investor, and I buy properties. I option properties. I assign contracts. And in this particular case, your property is a property that matches. Hang on. Sorry, I forgot to turn the phone off. Matches what some of my other investor partners are looking for. So I'm contracting on the property with the intent of assigning it to one of them. Okay. Now, a lot of times people tell me, but they'll balk if they find out that you're not the real, you're not the buyer. Well, no, they're not if you handle it right. Okay. It's very simple. They come back and say, no, well, if you're not the buyer and I'm not guaranteed a sale, then why am I going to contract with you and take the property off the market? Well, Mr. Seller, you don't have to. Okay. We can do what's called a kickout clause. And a kickout clause is simply where we put a clause in the contract that indicates that you can continue marketing the property for sale to anybody else. And if you get a valid offer in with somebody else that can close, then you notify me and I have 48 hours to either consummate the transaction and go hard, or I get kicked out. Very simple conversation. So there's no harm to the seller at all, right? What difference? But what it does is it gets you the ability to get that property under contract by being honest and telling him the truth, right? Doesn't harm him because he's not taking his property off the market. And that's where these problems come in on these wholesale deals or these contract assignment deals when you're trying to shop them, and this poor guy that's under duress that needs the cash. 30 days later, you've been horsing around and you can't get the thing sold. And now you got to bail out on the deal. That's where the problems come in. Okay. And you come up with some phony baloney story about, 27 excuses as to why you don't have to close based on some clauses in the contract. Now, there are legitimate contingency clauses, okay? Legitimate ones, okay? And an inspection would be a legitimate contingency clause. That would be a normal, virtually every retail deal has that contingency clause in place, okay, based on the inspection of the property, right? So there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's legit. It's not like you're out there, lying to them about some third-party person, which is some assignee that you haven't identified and that you don't know who it is that's got to inspect the property. That's a whole different ballgame, okay? Now, the problem is with this, we're talking about, again, getting skills to pay the bills so that you can handle that conversation with the seller, which is very easy. I just told you how to do it, all right? It's professional sales closing in a conversational format, but most people don't want to do that. They simply want to be a contract factory, Okay, what I mean by that is they want to do very linear, analytical. I just want to put my marketing out, and then I want to make 100 offers to get one accepted, and I want to close that deal, and I don't want to blah 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 blah. I don't want to have to get skills up or anything. And unfortunately, the reality is if you listen to any of the top guys that actually do wholesaling, they're all closers. Okay, they all know how to actually close. Okay, I'm talking about the real guys. Okay, not this fake stuff where all these fraud contracts and everything else, but I'm talking about people that actually run big time wholesale operations. They know how to close because they have to. They do it face to face, okay, or over the phone, depending on how their business is set up. Now, here's number 10. What they don't want you to know: wholesaling absolutely sucks. Okay, absolutely sucks. Here's why: it's time and money intensive. Okay, you got a lot of time that you're going to have to invest, and you have a lot of money in marketing that you're going to have to invest to, funnel down to the leads that you're then going to finally be able to contract with, hopefully. Meanwhile, 87 other people are contacting that same person. It's not a win-win deal because you have a massive conflict of interest with the seller because his focus is getting the highest price, yours is getting the lowest price, and then you got to do that same thing once again when you flip it out to whoever's buying it from you or buying the contract. Okay, the sellers 99% of the time are going to be in some type of duress because otherwise why would they sell you the house for 60% of fair market value? And that creates a very negative and toxic environment because you're dealing with people that are, they got problems. I don't know about you. I don't want to deal with that. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, that's not that you can't create a solution for them, but it's just not a fun arena to get involved in at all. Right? There are much easier, faster, and less expensive ways to do deals that also create multiple revenue streams per deal, which wholesaling and contract assignments do not. It's like one and done. And the other thing that I want you to know about why wholesaling sucks is that 98% of wholesalers fail and they're out of the business. And it's for a lot of the reasons that I'm showing you right here. Okay. So understand that for what it is. So what's the solution? Well, the solution, if you don't mind going through that whole last slide that I just talked about, if you are okay with all that and you like it and all of those wonderful things, is to totally reconstruct your business to the point that you're running it like an actual professional operation as opposed to what they taught you in one of these courses, okay? Alternatively, if you don't like that, don't want to do that, then you have to seek out other creative deal structures, okay? And that's one of the things that we do in Virtual Real Estate Investor Academy and the group JVP and the one-on-one JVP is just like that transaction earlier this morning, one phone call to then proceed on a transaction that can yield us up to 4 different revenue streams off one deal, off a couple phone calls. No marketing expense. I don't have any marketing expense with it. Talked to a guy for about what I don't think it was like 10 minutes. And we're already proceeding to move forward to take the next step in the due diligence process so that we can put the contract together. Okay. And in that scenario, you guys have to figure it out for yourself. I mean, you like driving around? I don't. Okay. You're going to seeing beater houses? I don't. I like to deal on the upper end on retail where I'm creating a solution to everybody's problem. That's a win-win deal. The seller wins. The buyer wins, we win, everybody's happy at the very end. That's a much better route to go, in my opinion, and based on my experience. And oh, by the way, I don't have to wait to get paid. I don't have to clear titles. I can start and finish a deal today, okay, with no expense and nothing other than a couple phone calls and get paid via wire. Okay, not waiting on some other eventual closing to happen and all those things. It's a much, if you're getting started off in real estate investing, the owner finance variants are a much better, faster, easier solution to make money quickly, make money monthly, okay, through monthly cash flow on the transactions, and then also have these, back end hits where not only do we make money today on the down payment, but then we have monthly cash flow. So we have today money, we got monthly money. And then depending on, like in this situation, this was owned free and clear, so there's no underlying note. But in most cases, most of the properties, they have an underlying note. So the buyers actually paying down our principal balance on that. And then we also have back end spread, which is a difference between what we buy the property for and what we end up selling it for. So you got up to 4 different, revenue streams. If you're doing single family deals, and these are higher priced deals, so you're not having to, I see some of these, and I'm not trying to put anybody's hustle down, okay? So don't misunderstand that. But I see some of these assignment checks that people post on Facebook, and I'm like, okay, $2,000 assignment fee, $5,000 assignment fee, $7,000 assignment fee, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, and all the expense that you had and all that you had to go through and all the time you had to waste and all the time you had to wait to finally get paid, to then finally get a check. It's just, oh my God, I just can't fathom why people would want to go through all of that, especially for the size of some of these checks that I see. All right. It's just mind boggling when you could be on the phone, never have to leave your house, do deals, get wires, and get them for 5 figures at a minimum. And by 5 figures, hell, our minimum revenue on a transaction is 26 grand. Okay, most wholesale deals are not anywhere near that. Okay, or the contract assignment deals. Not saying that none of them are. Certainly, some of them are. But most of them, that would not be. That's our bare minimum. I don't even want to talk to you about a deal unless we're looking at making at least that amount of money. Okay, on one transaction for a couple of phone calls, right? Not driving around, not clearing titles, not doing all that other stuff. So, if you guys have been struggling, if you have a situation where you could be plugged in with us today, like Terrence was this morning, and we're on the phone talking with me, talking to buyers and sellers, putting deals together, as opposed to beating your head against the wall and continuing on with all of the tired, old, repetitive marketing that everybody else is doing, right? So you have to beat your head against the wall. You got to take all those calls to finally filter it down to get somebody that you can contract with at 60%. Why? That is the red ocean, my friends. Okay, that is absolutely the red ocean of real estate investing, where you're going after all this stuff, and you got 400 other people doing the exact same thing, and you're struggling, right? Struggling to make money while spending a bunch of money on marketing. Just why? It's just not necessary. It's not fun. I don't want to do it. That's why I don't do it. Okay, so Isaiah asked, will there be a replay? Yes. Do the modules in the Academy actually teach how to structure the different deal structures? Yes, but you're going to get to, my JVPs get to hear it live on the phone. Okay, there's a ton of different ways. It's like people ask me this all the time. Like, okay, well, how would you, when you approach a deal, how are you going to structure? I don't have any idea until I have talked to the seller or the buyer, whichever side that we're on, to understand what the problems are that need to be solved, and then I can create a solution that matches what they're looking for. Okay, if that makes any sense. That's a much better way to do it. You guys understand what I'm talking about. So, our entire platform here is designed on, here, keep it legal, instead of doing all the stuff these guys are teaching you to do, but also in getting you instant ability to be on the phone with buyers and sellers from day one, not having to wait on bandit signs to be printed, because the leads are free, they're all over the place. Okay, plus we've got a bunch of properties that can be marketed. We got guys brand new right out of the gate, getting on the phone with people with $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 in cash down, which, if you remember what I said, that's payday for us up front. That's our today money. And, you could, like I said, I don't understand. Maybe somebody can enlighten me, okay? Who is it that, likes this model? To me, it's a dead model. I don't think that the wholesaling model is a good model. I know for a fact it's not a good model for people first getting started off in real estate investing. Okay, and that's the reason that 98% of the people that do end up failing and they're no longer in business. Okay, because it's a bad model. It's not fun. Anybody think it's fun? Anybody that's listening to this? Anybody ever done this that thinks it's fun? Okay. Okay, so Clint says, yeah, competition is getting tougher with Open Doors, Zillow, et cetera. Yeah, now you got Amazon joining in the race with Realogy and all that. Okay, so Paul, and I will probably mangle your name. Paul, is it in Y? I don't know. Okay, Paul says, hi, happy to be here. I'm living in Trinidad. I'm not a U.S. citizen. Can I do this virtually from Trinidad and being non-U.S. resident or citizen? The answer to your question is yes, you can. You can do it from anywhere in the world. I've got JVPs in several other countries, okay, that do stuff here in the United States. The only, if you want to know, again, total transparency, what are the potential hiccups? The potential hiccup is getting the funds out of the United States because of all the Patriot Act nonsense they've got. The banks highly scrutinize international wires. So for you to get paid, it may be a situation where the easier route to go would be to get paid via Bitcoin and then have you convert locally there where you're at if you have the ability to do that. If not, you want to really examine what kind of grief that you're going to run into, or PayPal obviously, but then you're taking a 3% hit. But other than that, what kind of grief there's going to be in doing an international wire to Trinidad so that you can get paid? That's the only hiccup that I'm aware of. As far as your location, doesn't make a difference. Okay. Okay. Clint says it's the only thing being taught to make cash to get into other models. You talk about wholesaling. Yes, I understand that, but okay. Cindy says no, it's not fun. Okay. All right, Paul says, yes, that's it. Wholesaling models seemed appealing to me at first because when it converts, it still converts to a lot for me. I can collect between 1% to 3%. It would still be good for me. US 2000 is, I don't know what TT Trinidad something, I guess your currency, 14,000 for me. Yeah, well, 2000, I mean, that's, listen, in your scenario, that's like if you read the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, that's exactly what Tim Ferriss talks about is the disparity in currency markets, where you could do deals here and make money and live like a king where you're at because of the disparity in the currency. Okay, man, would be an absolutely fantastic model for you. Yeah, so if real estate investing is your thing, that would be a way to go. The other thing in your situation, that may even make more sense is virtual arbitrage, because that's all done via PayPal and that's cash daily. And I don't think you have any restrictions or problems getting a PayPal account. You wouldn't have to deal with all that, but that's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, all right. So, is anybody? I can't get even one person to tell me that they think wholesaling is fun and they like it. Not even one. Nobody. Anybody? Anybody like wholesaling? I don't like it. That's why I don't do it. I mean, it absolutely sucks. I mean, I don't know who thought this was a great model to teach newbies as a way to get started in real estate investing, but that, a person needs to be horsewhipped because it's terrible. It's like you couldn't actually, I don't know how you could pick a worse model. Okay, unless you're doing pre-foreclosures or something. I mean, I don't know how you can pick a worse model than wholesaling to try to get started on with, or even if you already started and you're already making money, it's a grind, man. I mean, it's just an unholy grind of hell for that particular model. It doesn't mean you can't make money. Doesn't mean a lot of people don't make money. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that, you're trading your life for the dollars that you're getting for the experience that you're having to go through. And, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've never had anybody tell me they love wholesaling, ever. Not in 30 years. Okay. Even people that were making money at it. Never had anybody tell me that. So for those of you guys that are interested, if, like I said, you want to be working on deals, you want to plug into a live business, you want to work with me on deals live on the phone, just like Terrence and I did this morning, then this is the platform. I'll put it over here. We've got basically two different things, which these are, scroll down. Okay. I got two different platforms. Pick your poison based on where your income is and all that. And you can get going today, get plugged in today, and start on your path to making money today. Because if you get moving forward today, you and I can be on the phone with buyers and or sellers today, literally, okay, without having to waste all that time on, marketing and mailers and all the other stuff, okay? Okay, so Paul's asking if I had a registered LLC in the U.S., would it make it easier for me to transfer any profits I make? The key thing would be to get a U.S. bank account if you can get one. Okay, unfortunately, that's not my area of expertise. I don't know what they require for non-U.S. citizens to get a bank account. Maybe does anybody know anybody from another country out that's on here? I don't know. I mean, I know obviously a lot of people that are going through the green card process, they can get bank accounts once they have the tax ID number. So I don't know. That would be something to look into. It would probably be easier just to get a U.S. bank account and get the debit cards and all that stuff and have them shipped to wherever you're at. So there you go. All right. So there you have it, my friends. I'll put this on the Facebook Live too. Okay. And there's no reason for you guys to struggle. There's no reason for you guys to go out there and waste all this time and money on this crazy nonsense so you can, beat your head against the wall with everybody else in the red ocean. It's just not necessary. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful to you. Anybody have any other questions? If not, then I will bid you adieu and let's get back to making money. My pleasure, Paul. Thank you. Hope this was helpful for you. Okay. Isaiah, what's your question? My pleasure, Jason. Hopefully this was beneficial for you. Here, let me show you this while he's typing. For those of you who have not seen this before. Okay, so here's how I do it on the single family side. I go buyer first, okay? Why do I go buyer first? Because now I know where the money's coming from and I'm gonna get paid, okay? That's why I go buyer first. That's what I advise you guys to do. Go buyer first, not seller, not property first. Once that's done, then all I have to do is identify a property that works. Again, all free on the internet. A couple of phone calls. Send contracts. Get a wire, and then the four revenue streams are as follows. So you have upfront, you have down payment, that's cash today. You have monthly cash flow, so that's our monthly money. We have most of the time, not always, most of the time, principal balance reduction on the underlying note. So that's future money, and then we have back end spread. Okay, and what does that mean? That means, okay, so if we buy at 400 and we sell at 420, there's another 20 grand on the backside. All right. In addition to the down payment, in addition to the cash flow, in addition to our principal balance reduction, if we have that as well, if that's built in. Now, on a wholesale deal, it's, you're one and done. You're going to make your 2, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, 25 grand one time, and there's no other revenue stream along with that. And then, a large portion of whatever you're generating as revenue then unfortunately has to go right back into marketing for more deals if you want to continue generating income. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. This is a big problem for a lot of people because one of the things these courses don't teach you how to do is pipeline management. Okay, and I can't tell you how many people I've talked to over and over and over again that they did a deal, got a couple deals done, they made some cash, but then they didn't understand pipeline management, and 2 months later they're broke and worried about the cars getting repossessed and all this other stuff. Okay, so you need to understand pipeline management to make sure that you keep the hopper full constantly. And so if you're doing wholesale deals, you should have marketing going. Regardless of what type of deal you're doing, you should have marketing going out every single day. Okay, that is the lifeblood. Let me rephrase it. Cash obviously is the lifeblood, but from a standpoint of getting cash, marketing, your prospecting, your lead generation is the lifeblood of any business. Bringing in new customers and bringing in repeat customers. Okay, so if you're not doing that every day, I would examine what you're doing to figure out why. Okay, because that's the number one thing that you should be doing on a daily basis is prospecting. Okay, and so yes, Paul, there's going to be a replay. All right, but this is how on a single family deal, this is how I do it. Okay, go buyer first. Identify once the buyer has signed up, and you understand before I pick up the phone, they stroke out $2,500 to me up front. Okay, before I pick up a phone to negotiate a contract with the seller for them that I'm going to buy. So I get paid up front. I got skin in the game, not wasting time. I then identify a property that works, and most of the time, 99% of the time, the buyer does it for me. I don't even have to do it. And then at that point, all I have to do is a couple phone calls, take the property through the due diligence process, and once it checks out, then we send the contracts out. Most of the time, there's not any kind of contract negotiations. Most of the time, the people aren't using attorneys or anything like that. It's just a standard. It's going to look, act, and feel like doing a lease. We execute the contract. The buyer goes and sees the house. They like it. Fantastic. They execute the contract. They send the wire, and it's payday. Okay? All for free. Doesn't cost anything. And you get up to 4 different revenue streams. That, my friends, is a lot easier, faster way for people to get involved in real estate investing. Okay, but the one thing that I see time and time again that you guys need to understand is that one of the biggest reasons why people do not succeed is they lack commitment and they lack consistency. Okay, they want to buy some stupid Facebook course and not put the effort in. Not put the effort in consistently, not commit to the process. And what you have the opportunity here for, so you guys understand, is the opportunity to literally create a 6-figure, then 7-figure business starting from nothing. That's what you have the opportunity to do. And if that's the case, this is where I have to like look at my fellow man and like want to shake him and say, what the hell is wrong with you? Because that's the opportunity that you have, but they're more committed to Game of Thrones than they are to generating 6 or 7 figures and fixing their situations, okay? And there's 27 excuses as to why they can't market consistently, and there's 27 excuses as to why, they disappear and then finally come back. This kind of stuff happens all the time, okay? Happens all the time. So when you want to talk about the biggest 2 reasons people fail, other than, number 1 here, bad information from these stupid courses, is commitment. If you can't, go all in for 90, 120, 180 days, to get a 6-figure business off the ground from nothing that doesn't cost you anything, you got a problem, okay? And if you can't then act like a professional and market consistently, how do you ever expect to be successful? I don't understand it. I talk about this over and over and over again. McDonald's advertises every single day. Why? Everybody knows what a Happy Meal is, what a Big Mac is, all those things. But they understand the value in new customers. They understand the value in repeat customers. They understand that if they don't do that, they're not going to get them. They want to stay on the forefront of potential customers or repeat customers' minds. And they do that through all their marketing efforts. That's exactly what you need to be doing too. So, all right, guys, I hope that helps. Okay. So if you have any other questions, just PM me after we get off this thing. Those of you that want to join the joint venture and get working on deals today, hit me up via PM. We'll get you going right now. I've got about 2 hours right now. So I would do that quickly so we can get you moving and get you plugged in, dialed in to our Podio system, our Slack channel, the phone systems, the whole 9 yards, so that you can be actually marketing for deals like right now. Okay, like right now. Okay. Otherwise, what are you doing? Why are you on here? Let me know that. Why are you on here? What you come here for? Certainly can't because you love the sound of my voice. I don't blame you for that. You came here for a solution to something, and hopefully you got it. All right. Have a wonderful afternoon. Let's go make some money.